Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, my name's Lynn. I am an overseas student from Vietnam. I had the privilege to study and work in the UK for the last 10 years. I'm now practicing as a pharmacist. However, in this year I decided to take a gap year and take the position to be a locum pharmacist instead of a full-time employed pharmacist. And in this video, this is my reflection on my experience so far of the transition from a full-time pharmacist working for the NHS or working for the retail company to become a freelancer, a locum pharmacist. So here are some pros and cons that I have managed to gather. I hope you find it useful. If you are in the position where you are deciding to take up the gap year as well, then please stay tuned. And if you are going through the same journey as well, let me know how you feel that as well in the comment below. Okay, so let's jump straight onto it. So what is the benefit? What's the positive things about becoming a freelancer? How does that feel? Do I feel happier? The answer is definitely yes. I am definitely a lot happier than I was before. I had to get to decide when my holiday is. I had to decide I can book the ticket to go home if I decided to visit with my family longer than a month, because that is like if I'm working full time, the holiday allowance that you have on average will be 28 days, and the chances that you are not going to be able to take the whole month off to go home, because obviously your employer will not be able to allow that, because it's going to be a long time for him to cover that gap. But if you are a freelancer, then you can do, as long as you manage to book your shift in advance, you can take as long as you can. Obviously you're not going to get paid while you're taking the time off. That's why you have to make sure that your holiday you plan in advance, to make sure you have the funds available there for you. So that's a good thing about it, the freedoms, the flexibility that you will not have if you are a full-time pharmacist. The second positive things about being a locum is that you get to decide where you work. So if you go to a store or you go to a hospital where you enjoy the team that you are working with, then you get to book to come back to that store again if you know that you feel comfortable there. And again, you don't have to join in with the regular gossiping, the chit chat. You can stay out of it. If they are genuinely nice people, then obviously it's a bonus. But if not, your job there is coming to be carried out as a pharmacist, and you can go to that free headspace that you weren't able to have if you was a full-time pharmacist. And again, I go back to that, is the flexibility that I mentioned before, that you have flexibility to be yourself, to live on your own term, to decide when you are working. And if you have some things coming up and you can't commit that shift, then obviously you need to let them know in advance. The other thing about it is that you need to make sure that you keep organized, because I'm not a really organized person, but I need to implement that into my daily routine now. I need to record where am I working, what are the hours, and how long did I take for lunch break. I record it so that at the end of the month you have an audit trail of how many hours you've done. Are you getting paid correctly? And again, you probably have to do your own taxes as well, so you need to keep track of them and keep a record of them very well. It's because your salary will not be as a fixed salary as you was before. You need to budget really well what is coming up so that you can plan even for the worst case scenario. Okay, so let's move on to the cons. What's the cons of working as a freelancer or as a pharmacist? So but number one for me, I guess career development is something that as a young pharmacist you are really keen to know where you're going toward, what development you would get, what training does the trust or the company provide to you. Are you keep learning, or are you deciding to specializing in different area? Then if you are a locum pharmacist, you will not have that training, that pathway provided for you. And for me, again, it doesn't work for me right now, because I feel like I did want to take this gap year to expand other aspects of life, and that's not just pharmacy, about personal finance, investing, the things that I want to go deep into those topics. So I'm still learning other things, it's just not pharmacy, and that's why it worked for me. But if you are deciding if you want to pursue a career in pharmacy, then I don't think being a freelancer, being a pharmacist will be good. And also, you are your own boss, you are your own manager. You need to know how are you performing, because there won't be yearly appraisal. You have to do your self-reflection. If you decided to progressing further or specializing, then locuming is not a right path. And again, that's also applied to me as well, that if I would like to go back to the hospital, if I want to specializing in oncology or cardiology, then I would have to make sure that I go back to the training and go back to the working full time again. And that's why I decided to give myself a year or 2 years. That's maximum before I turn 30s, of course, when we decided to have a stable starting a family. Then I don't think I would like to be a locum. By just imagine that it could be very challenging if you are a locum pharmacist and if you want to take care of a family as well. If you are like me and you decide to take a gap year and you want to pursue your dream that you've been postponed for a long time, then you need to write down, what your goal is. What action should I be taking if I want to pursue in the dream? If you want to go traveling, then book that ticket. Otherwise, day turn into weeks, week turn into months, month turn into years, and it's been 3 months. It has been 3 months, but because I haven't booked my ticket to go home, I'm postponing it. And that's the thing, that there won't be anybody who will remind you what you need to do. You are in charge of your daily schedule, your monthly schedule. You need to book that in advance. The other things that you need to do before you decided to start locuming is that if you have a mortgage, if you've got a bill to pay for, you need to have an emergency fund. You need to save enough money so that if there's no dam of income going to your pocket, then there's enough to meet your basic need, enough to cover all the food, all the bills, all the mortgage, all the council tax that you are liable to pay for. Because if the worst case scenario happens that you can't manage to book any shift, or if you're waiting for the DBS, or if you haven't done all of the compliance or the learning that's available, then you will be at really a stressful time. And that was me. Obviously, I wasn't organized enough to having all of these in place before I start locuming. And luckily I got Tristan, so we could potentially on one single income. So we're trying to avoid to have it to be in that position, because it's a very stressful position to be in. So if you are planning to become locum, so make sure you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months readily available there, so you can access to it. And obviously trying to be much more organized than I was when I started locuming. The other thing about having an emergency fund is that obviously if you are a freelancer, you will not have the employee's benefits. So finger crossed, you are young. If you are a young pharmacist, young and kicking, you have no problem, no health conditions, you'll be okay, you'll be strong and healthy, and you can work solidly for 2 weeks, not taking up any break, to make up the lost time. You will not get paid if you fall ill, so you need to take all that into consideration as well. So if you have an emergency fund, you forecasting this. And again, as mentioned before, you can go on holiday for 2 to 3 months. You will not get paid, so make sure that you have enough. If you are going away and you're not working, then you will have enough money to pay for the bill, and you have enough money to fund for your holiday. The other thing that you need to take into consideration as a locum is that you will not have any pension contributions. If you know me, then you know that I am a strong advocate to financial freedom and the investing and planning for the future. And if you are working as a locum pharmacist, there will not be employer pension contributions. So that is something that you need to do your own research. There's a lot of private pension that you can set up for yourself, and that you can pay, you can contribute it yourself into your own pension, and it's really flexible, and you can take it with you as well if you decided to locum for a few years and go back to being as a full-time employee. Then you can take that pension with you, so there isn't any gap into your pension contribution. The last observation that I have from my experience new locum pharmacist is that you need to ensure that you keep track of all the invoices that you've done, or the shift that you've done, how much you get paid. And if you decided to be a sole trader, then you have to do that at the end of the tax year, which I think will be around January. So for me will be, I need to make sure that I have all of this paperwork in place before January 2023. And if you need some support, then you can hire an accountant who can help you organizing this paperwork. They can also make sure that you enter all of the correct information. So I think it's worth to spend that money. Okay, so that's all from me today. I hope you find it useful, and obviously I'm still learning, and if I've gathered more information about this, I will make sure that I share it with you guys on this channel of my journey as become freelancer or as a locum pharmacist. So far I enjoy it. I am much happier, and I guess for me it's a craving freedom that I haven't been able to have as an overseas worker. For me before, it was I need to make sure that I find a tier 2 sponsor that can sponsor me, that I have to work with for that sponsor only. I guess it's like I'm milking it for now, that I have this freedom to decide where I work, when I go, and if I want to go home back to Vietnam to live there for a few months, I have the option to do so. And again, it fit my personality as well. And if you watch my previous video, you know that I am an adventurer. It's really worked for me. But if you like the stability, if you would like to know where you go, what kind of work that will be setting out for you, if you prefer that stability, then maybe working full-time at one company or with one trust will be better for you. Still have my old colleagues that asking me there's vacancies available to go back to the old trust. It's really doesn't fit my personality, and I'm glad that I've tried them. And the thought of going back to work full-time in one place no longer excites me. For now, I know that there are always going to be pros and cons, but I'm happy with where I am right now, and I would like to carry with this further. And I guess there's nothing is perfect. You always have to compromise with wherever you go. I hope you learned something from my video, and if you have learned even just one thing from my video, please like and subscribe to my channel if you are new, so I can get to grow my channel. And thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to see you again in the next video. Take care and goodbye.